Hey, what's up guys, welcome back to the channel. So I'm just gonna get into my recap video this week. Pretty slow week for me in the market. I only took 2 entries. There was one trade that I missed, which I'll talk you guys through as well. But yeah, I'll just get going on the trades that I actually did take. So the first trade here for me this week was taken on AUDJPY. It was taken on the forward time frame. It was a long position. It's not my typical break and retest type of trade. It was just purely based off of price action. Also had a nice touch of a trend line coming in together with the monthly 50 Fibonacci. It had daily hidden divergence at support and also 4-hour regular divergence into support, right? I booked half profits at 1.2R. I have that highlighted in red because that is, I broke my rules there a little bit. I should only be taking trades that are at least, the first TP is at least 1.5R on the trade. So yeah, slight oversight on my part there, but hopefully I'll be able to fix that going forward. And then I booked another 25% of the trade at 2.6R, right? This was the trade here at the time that I entered. Cool. So right, so this is the trend line I was looking at here, right? So origination and trend line there, second touch there, third touch here, right? And I entered just based off of that bullish engulfing candle here on the forward time frame. We also had that nice area of support, right? And then this was the trade at the time, well, not the time that I closed it off, just at the time that I booked my second portion of the trade, right? So here, this right here where I closed partials, this is the first TP level. This one's slightly off actually. It should be a little bit lower. I think it just snapped to the wick when I took the screenshot. It should actually be at the bodies. So yeah, anyway, 1.2R, that was the first TP, and then I took another 25% of the position off here at this previous level of structure, right? So pretty much 75% of the trades closed off. I only got 25% kind of open and running. So I'll just jump to the chart now to talk you guys through the trade and how I did analysis. So I didn't actually have this on my weekly outlook video last week. It was actually a friend who alerted me to the level, and once I got that, once he told me about it, I went off and did my analysis, and I'm like, basically this is what I was looking at, right? So so as I was saying, right, we had that origination of the trend line. This is the second touch here, third touch here. Now originally I had my trend line, I would have had my trend line drawn in at these lows, right? Which would have been some kind of validity, right? So we kind of have this there, right? So second touch there, kind of leaked through, tested it as support again, and then it broke through, tested it as resistance, right? So I might be paying attention to this actually, but for the sake of the analysis and the trade that I took, right, this is the validation I was looking at here, right? So I'll just kind of pay attention to see how it plays out, which is why, so this is why I booked some profits here once price kind of spiked through this level. All right, so this is why I took some profits off here, because I very well see that this trade might start actually pulling back, right? So anyway, so I entered the trade here based off of this engulfing candle, just off of this area of support. What I mentioned on my journal about that monthly Fibonacci 50 Fibonacci retracement. So how I do that, I'll just talk you guys through. So if I just hide this stuff, right? So what I normally do is I'll jump to the monthly time frame. I'll just zoom in, right? So we can see it a little bit clearer. Just need to pay attention to the candles, right? So basically, so this current candle here, this is the current month that we're in. So this is May, and obviously this previous candle here will be April, right? So what I do is I will take a regular Fibonacci, right? So just your regular old Fibonacci, right? And I have one that's customized to just the 50%, right? So I have, you got your 1 at the bottom, your 0 here at the top. I mean, you can have it either way, right? For this, it doesn't really matter, right? So in this instance, what I will do, I will snap either the 1 or the 0 to the low, because I don't care if it's a bullish month or bearish month. I just want to get the 50% level of the month, right? So what I'll do, I'll just snap to the lows of the month, and then I'll just align to the highs of the month, right? And that's pretty much it there. So all I'll do is just look to the highs of the month to the lows of the month, and I just want to see the 50% level. So from there, what I'll do, I'll just jump to the daily time frame, and I'll just make sure I actually have it snapped to the right place, right? So I just kind of clean it up a little bit. So here on the daily time frame, I think this candle here is the low, the lowest point. Yeah, so 83.034 versus 83.039. Yeah, so this candle here is actually the low of the month. So that's the lowest point of the month. And I think I got my high. Yeah, I'll just neaten the high up so it's accurate, right? So it's just a little bit, I think it's like one. There we go. Okay, so now we got the high of the month completely accurate. So then from there, all I'll do, I'll just snap a little ray on here, right, to the 50. So the 50 right there, and I actually got that correct. So so pretty much that's the 50% of the month, right? So once I've done it and I've neatened it up, all I care about from here is just that ray, right? And then I'll just jump to my 4-hour time frame, which is where I do the most of my analysis, right? And you can see how the 50% level for the month, the previous month, acts really nicely as support, right? So I just draw in my zones, right? So I'll just draw my zone in there, so representing that area of support and support here, which is where I took my entry, right? And then, as I said before about the trend line, so I'll just snap the trend line in from the low to from this previous low here to this low here, and then just extend it into the future, right? Just whatever it looks the cleanest and most valid, right? That's what I would do. That looks most valid to me. And this is where I took the entry, right? And as I mentioned, right, I took the entry based off of this bullish engulfing candle here, and currently the trade is just running. So I can just kind of put this back, so I can just delete this stuff now. Put this back in, right? So anyway, so yeah, so that's that trade for this week, right? All right, so the second trade for me this week was taken here on GBPCAD. It was taken on the 4-hour time frame. It was a long position. This was more in line with my typical type of trade. So it's a break and retest. 32 retracements on the Fibonacci together with the H4 200 EMA coming in as well. Move stops to break even at previous structure, and then I was stopped out at break even. Right. This was a trade here at the time that I entered. Cool. So we had previous daily lows here, so we had this nice zone that was created. Price broke through. It didn't break through very impulsively, but it had a nice breakthrough and then a slow retracement back to the level. And then I got my entry candle just there. All right, so that bearish candle just there. And then this was the trade here at the time I was stopped out. All right, so I moved my stops to break even at previous structure, which was just here, right? And then price quickly spiked back up and took me out at break even. I was okay with that. I was happy with that because I took the entry out on this for this trade on Friday, so just yesterday. And when I entered the trade, the plan was to, if price was around break even anyway, I would close the trade off and then look for a re-entry on Sunday or Monday, and that would have happened anyway, right? So basically what I looked at, right, so we had, if we just jump to the daily time frame right there, right, so you had this previous daily lows just here. I mean, longer term, this thing is just stuck in a range, right? So I'm just looking to trade this to previous to the previous lows here of the range. Actually, these previous lows just here. We've just been stuck in this kind of wider, longer term range for, well, pretty much for all of the year, right? So once I had this kind of impulsive break here and a slow retracement coming back to these lows, I decided to enter the trade here, right, upon rejection of the level. So I spoke about this trade in detail on my analysis videos, because I did analysis on this way back at the start of the month, basically. And it took some time for it to set up, it finally did. So yeah, I mean, it quickly pushed into profit, and you know, it met previous structure, which is okay for me to move my stops to break even. The initial targets would have been at these previous lows just here, so kind of at these levels just here. But you know, it unfortunately, I think there was news at the time, so there's some kind of wild movements happening at the time. So I'm okay with how the trade worked out, right? So I'm out at break even, and I'll probably look for some entries on Sunday. Probably for some re-entries if I get another valid entry signal. Right. And then the one trade that I did miss this week, which is obviously the best trade, right? It was on EURJPY. So basically I got the rejection of the trading level just here, right? There are quite a few rejections happening at the trading level, right? But I just didn't get my entry signal, so I couldn't enter the trade. And then my entry signal finally came here on this candle, which happened basically at midnight for me. So I was already in bed, and then obviously the rest was history, right? So the trade just rocketed into profit, and yeah, just kind of took off without me. But basically a simple trade, right? Just a break and retest a market structure, right? So we had this last structural level here. Price struggled to push lower and then impulsively broke higher, and then slowly retraced back to the broken highs. Had some nice rejection on the higher time frames, and obviously, yeah, got the entry signal, but I was not around to take the position. So and that would have been a nice, clean, quick trade as well. Yeah, but anyway, so yeah, that was pretty much all the trading activity there for me this week. Some pairs, I think the JPY pairs, particularly like EURJPY, GBPCAD, CAD-JPY, those pairs moved quite nicely this week. Wasn't able to catch any entries on them, unfortunately. AUDJPY, unfortunately, is the trade that I took, and that's the one that's messing around the most. But anyway, it's all good. So pretty good trading week nonetheless. Pretty slow, but you know, profitable. So anyway, that wraps up the video there for me this week. If you made it this far, thank you for watching. If you like what you see and you're not subscribed, feel free to subscribe. And if you think these videos or these type of videos would be useful to anyone else, feel free to just share it with them. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you guys in my Outlook video.